at the 2017 Honda CBR 250RR. Yes, that's 2 R's, not 1. If you didn't know that this was coming out, then I'm glad you're watching this, because this bike is awesome. You can see a picture of it here on the screen. To me, it kind of looks like a combo of the Ninja 300, the R3, and the frame here sort of looks like the RC390 trellis frame. This bike is 250 cc's, of course, and it's supposed to be a beast. The old Honda CBR 250R, single R that is, it was a single cylinder. This one's a parallel twin, and not only does it look cool, but it's going to be very cool. It's supposed to be on the level with the R3 and the Ninja 300. They made it to compete with those bikes, because let's be honest, the CBR 250R was a disappointment, and they made that one to compete with the Ninja 250, and the Ninja 250 blew that out of the water, and it was ugly. Let's look at some pictures here. There's a red one, got a bunch of decals on it, it's pretty cool. There's the black one again. As you can see, the front is very Ducati-esque. The headlights remind me a lot of a Ducati, which is definitely not a bad thing. Here's the front again. They put some red lights on there. I don't know if they're going to have different colored lights. I've seen a picture with blue lights on there. The front disc brake looks pretty big. The back looks pretty small, but they're slotted, drilled, and they're wavy also. Here's the seat portion. It's got these cool little intake ducts like most of the bigger bikes have these days. Here's the exhaust, which is very interesting. They went with a dual muffler kind of setup. Now I don't know if one of these mufflers is fake and it's just for looks. I bet that's what's happening. It's pretty cool, but it's a little big, but I'm excited to see what kind of aftermarkets come out for it. Now let's look at some stats for this beast. The displacement is the same as the previous 250. The horsepower has not been released from what I can see, but they're thinking around 35 to 38 base horsepower, which is comparable to the Ninja 300, and that's pretty cool coming from a 250cc bike. The torque, 26 to 29 Newton meters, that's what's expected. That's going to be about 17 to 21 pound-foot. 2-cylinder, 6 gears, of course. Seat height 790 millimeters. That's pretty common. I think the RC390 is 810 millimeters, which is about 33 inches. This is about 31 inches. Top speed 180 plus kilometers per hour. Again, pretty standard. What I like is the look. The look is just, it's a cool looking bike. I'm really glad they did this. There's been talk of them making it into a 300 for the US market and the European market, but I don't know if those are just rumors or not. Either way, it looks cool. If the RC390 wasn't out, or if they were both out at the same time, this would have really piqued my interest. I bet it's going to be cheaper than the RC390 also. I haven't seen any price figures yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be a little over $4,000, close to $5,000 maybe. Hopefully we can get them to make a CBR 500RR, since they're not making the CBR 600RR anymore. If they did what they did with the 250 here to the 500, that would be amazing. I would 100% buy that bike if they did that. Now let's look at the stats of the CBR 250R just to compare. The top speed was 87 miles per hour, which is 140 kilometers per hour, so the top speed on the RR is quite a bit more. The horsepower, that is 23.7 horsepower, which is quite a bit less, over 10 horsepower less. The torque, 12.7 foot-pound-foot, which is also quite a bit less. That's 17.2 Newton meters. So this new bike, I don't know why they didn't do this at first, because they would have been outselling everybody. If you don't know the history, in 1992, the year I was born, they came out with the CBR 250RR, and this is what it looked like. It's one of my favorite bikes of all time. I wish I could ride one or find one or something, because they are awesome. This was an inline 4-cylinder motorcycle, and it was 250 cc's. This thing, the red line was about 19,000 RPM. It was crazy. Go check out Riding with Tom's channel. He rides one of these and one of the 400 versions that they had. It had 45 horsepower, but after a while they limited it to 40 horsepower, and I forget what the torque was, but the torque was incredible. And like I said, 19,000 area red line, that was crazy. The reason I bring this up is because when they first announced they were coming out with the CBR 250RR, people were thinking that this is what it was going to be, another 4-cylinder. But turned out it wasn't. It's still a cool bike. I would have loved if they would have come out with one of these. I would have sold my bike for it. Just wanted to give you a first look and my opinions on it. It's a cool bike. If it turns out to perform well, I don't know what the weight is, but if it turns out to perform well, perform similar to the RC390, I honestly might think about getting one, because I love this thing. This thing's awesome. And Honda is reliable, we all know that. But then again, you gotta think about this. This is a new engine they made just for this bike, and usually you don't want to be the first to buy a new engine or new bike, because there's probably going to be problems. But you never know. With Honda, they know what they're doing. They've been around a while. So that is that. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Would you consider getting one? Also, don't forget to grab some stickers from the links in the description box, and consider subscribing if you're not.